Hi, welcome to our place up in Alpine National Park, up along the Bundar River and Callaghan's Road up at Angler's Rest. And hopefully you'll find this a little bit interesting on this new format, digital format, because of COVID. So here's just going to go through things as they went along on the progress of our building. It was a pretty darn rough 12.5 acre block. As you can see, super rocky, super steep. First we had some roads built, and we built a kit shed. We lived upstairs of it and used the bottom as a work shed, half as a working shed and half as our living space. This is the upstairs. Then we got around to building the house site itself, which was rather interesting and fun, and took probably 2 or 3 years to actually get a roof over our heads. But you can see what kind of a rough spot it is, and I had some friends that I paid to help me put it together. And of course, when you pour cement or build a house until you get the roof on, it pours rain every day, but we finally did it. Now we have this amazingly beautiful house attached to the shed. Now we'll get into one of the features of the house, which is the micro hydro, plus a little bit of solar backup, just in case the hydro isn't working because of floods or debris or maintenance. Okay, so here's what the regulating and wiring systems look like. This regulator, the Xantrex, is for the hydro, and you can see right now it's putting out nearly 9 amps. At 25.9 volts. That's what the battery's storage is at right now. And then the Outback 60 here is showing what we're putting in with the solar. And here's the old SEA workhorse inverter. And then there's our batteries there, 960 amp hours worth of batteries. And so we look in here, and it looks like a dog's breakfast, but it's actually pretty simple. So there's the wires that are coming out of the hydro, go basically straight into the back of the Xantrex, and then out of the Xantrex it goes through a circuit breaker, and then over to the batteries. What else do we got? A bunch of circuit breakers. There's a couple of DC circuit breakers here. And those are for the toilet fans, the composting toilet fans. And then, so there's very little DC in our house. And then this here is a relay, a solid state relay, because the mechanical one kept clunking off and on. And basically what that does is, because on the solar panels, what everybody's used to is if there's no sun, there's just no generation of power and no problem. But when you're dealing with a hydro, that's a generator, and it needs a load or it's going to freewheel and blow up. And so if the batteries are full, that power generation needs to be diverted, and so it's diverted into this one coil. The second one has never been used in 20 years. Here's a few shots of us building this epic construction project of building the hydro. We didn't want to ruin our beautiful little river or stop kayakers from kayaking down it, so we tried to keep it off to the side and as discreet and inconspicuous as possible, and I think we managed to do that. The original design, which you can see there, didn't allow for cleaning. It was very poorly designed, and when the river flooded, like, hey, there it is right there, it was actually underwater and useless. It was a nightmare, and I wrote an article about it in an American magazine, and then we got an offer for a free unit from a guy in Nova Scotia to replace it. So if we wrote an article about how great his unit was, and so we did that, and now we have a really great little unit, but we're kind of stuck with the location. So screening the debris that comes out of the river is the biggest problem you'll find in any hydro system. And it is what it is, sort of, with ours. It's too late, and I'm not going to redo the entire system. But if you're going to do a hydro, talk to me first, because that is the biggest detail you need to pay attention to. cool. Butterflies open just to clear out all the sand and rocks. Shut it down in a second. Okay, here's our upstairs compact toilet from Sunmar. And don't be scared. That's the bin where you go into. And when you're ready to rotate it, that's how you rotate it until you get back to where it's open again. And then eventually the composted human manure. Do that again, Butcher. Thank you. Yeah, there. It drops into that tray, and you just bring the tray down to the garden and or wherever you want to put it in the soil. This is where the main toilet chute drops down into the Sunmar from Naturelu. This is how you rotate that drum. You can hear it. Looks like a cement mixer inside. There's a couple of trays under here where you get compost dropping in. And then there's a finishing tray there. And you know, when you're rotating it, all the finished, soft, and light, fluffy manure compost and ends up in that finishing tray. And then you just take that little tray out to your garden or wherever you're going to put the compost. And for Bushfire, as you can probably see, we do have a lot of trees, which is we really love. But we've thinned them into a quote-unquote park-like spacing. So we went through the 03 fires, and you can see our video of fighting the fires in 03, and it was a hurricane of fire, blew right through our place and over our heads. And we were fine because of this, of what we did. And I'm telling you, it took 20 years of clearing and brush burning and fuel reduction burns and taking down, spacing the trees well to make it a super defendable property. So you can see there's very little ground cover. We're waiting for it to dry out a little bit to get the little bit of ground cover. We'll burn that soon. But you can see what we've already done around the upper shed here, the parking garage, quote unquote, fuel reduction burn. And that gets us ready for summer so that the shed will be protected. We don't have to worry about that. You can see I've taken down a spare branch down there in a trunk, and we'll put that up near the woodshed, which is right there. You can see there's tons of wood left over from the, we're nearly over with the winter already. And we'll let that dry for a couple of years, and then we'll use that. But as you can see, really defendable property. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed it. Rather unprofessional, I'm sure, but you know, hopefully you saw what you needed to see. And any questions, you feel free to just contact us anytime. Have a good day. Cheers. Bye.